Good evening. Today is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. I am Heather Peffley, clerk for the city of Manistee. The city council's May 5th, 2021 regular meeting being conducted remotely where all members of the city council are in separate locations and not at the city hall council chambers will be called to order by Mayor Roger Zielinski shortly. As always, this meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast on Manistee TV cable channels 189 and 190 and available at manisteetv.org. City council and city staff will have video and audio available for this meeting. Members of the public will be audio only. The microphones of all members of the city council, city manager, city attorney, and city clerk will always be live unless there's an audio disruption. Mayor Zielinski, we are ready to proceed with the meeting.
I think I'm ready now, Heather. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll call the meeting to order. Please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachman.
Present from my home in Manistee.
Councilmember Beaton.
Present at my home in Manistee.
Mayor Zielinski.
Present at my home in the city of Manistee.
Councilmember Sullivan. She was here. She is here. Let me see if I can unmute her.
Here at my home in Manistee.
There we go. Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Here in my home in Manistee, Michigan.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here in Manistee.
And Councilmember Martin Pontiac is not with us at this time. City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney.
Here.
Deputy Clerk.
Here.
City Assessor.
Here.
DPW Director.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Planning and Zoning.
Here.
Police Chief.
I'm here.
Fire Chief.
Here.
City Engineer.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. We have a request to amend the agenda. A motion to amend the agenda to combine item X, D, and E and add a new item X, E, allowing action by council on these items. Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
This is Szymanski. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. This is Beaton.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachman,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Here, she's trying to unmute. Hold on one second.
Okay.
I'll try to. She was here. I just had her. I think she dropped off. I can't find her on either screen.
well, I can come back to her.
Okay, she should be calling in.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
do we have Councilmember Sullivan back?
Not yet. She's not here.
Okay. Well, the motion has passed.
Thank you. We'll go on to public hearings. We have none. Citizens' comments on agenda-related items. Each person in the waiting in the virtual waiting room will be called individually by the city clerk by the last four digits of their telephone number. Individuals will be asked if they have a comment or if they are passing. It is very important that those giving comments have a good phone connection and no sound or noise in the background, such as television and all forms of audio should be muted. Otherwise, there will be a disruptive audio. If the issue cannot be corrected by the caller, we'll move on to the next person in line. The meeting discussion topics for those who don't have an agenda are: on the consent agenda tonight, we have approval of minutes, cash balance, revenue and expenses, quarterly financial update, quarterly investment report, consideration of zoning ordinance Z21-10 to amend Article 20 of the Manistee City zoning ordinance, consideration of ordinance 21-14 to amend the City of Manistee codified ordinance to add an ordinance to designate an enforcing agency to discharge the responsibilities of the City of Manistee to designate regulated flood hazard area under the provisions of the State Construction Code Act, Act number 230, a public act of 1972 as amended, to repeal all ordinances in conflict therewith, to provide for severability, and to provide for an effective date. Notification regarding next work session and consideration of American Legion auxiliary poppy sales and consideration of the Jones-Dollenly wedding. Other agenda items: consideration of adopting the 2021-2022 budget and capital improvement plan and approving the Downtown Development Authority proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Consideration of applications to boards and commissions, a report from the city assessor on economic development, a report from the city assessor and economic development, consideration of a closed session union contract negotiation, and consideration of a closed session application of employment for the position of city manager. We'll now take comments on these items, agenda items. Heather?
Okay. For members of the public that are with us, please press *9 from your telephone to raise your hand. I will then call on you and ask you to unmute by pressing *6. Again, please press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. If there's anyone that is not on the phone and is joining with an iPad or a laptop, please go ahead and unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Hello, my name's Theron Ferguson, 510 Fairview Avenue, Manistee. I have a few comments as they relate to the consent agenda. Item 9B, notification regarding next work session. Permission to proceed. Okay. Dear counselors and Manistee city officials, I have spoken with and received several comments from many of the area's contractors, landlords, inspectors, and legal minds. We would all request that the city council not make, at this time, any further decisions, changes, alterations, or modifications to the Manistee rental program until we've had an opportunity to discuss in depth a wide range of questions and concerns that many of us have about the permitting, inspection, long-term rental program, and processes currently in place and how they're being handled. We have a variety of solutions and ideas that we're hoping for the opportunity to propose. We feel that any decisions that might change the current permitting, application, inspection, or rental program in general should be well thought out and discussed with those who will be directly affected by them. Your consideration of our input would be very much appreciated. Prior to any decisions or changes being made, we believe that with the city manager's position at this time in transition, no hastily made decisions would be beneficial long-term for the residents of Manistee. We would like to ask that the Manistee City Council postpone or put on the back burner any decisions as they relate to the Manistee long-term rental program until such a time or date when the new city manager has been appointed. Please consider these thoughts prior to your next work session. Thank you.
Okay, I have someone, Karen, I see that you're unmuted. Do you have a comment? Okay, hearing none. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? All right, I am not hearing any others, Mayor.
Thank you. Consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are on the consent agenda and considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval of the consent agenda, any member of council may have an item from the consent agenda removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Consent agenda items include approval of minutes, cash balance, revenue and expenses, quarterly financial update, quarterly investment report, consideration of zoning ordinance Z-21 to amend Article 20 of the Manistee City zoning ordinance. Consideration of ordinance 21-14 to amend the City of Manistee codified ordinance to add an ordinance to designate an enforcement agency to discharge the responsibilities of the City of Manistee to designate, regulate flood hazard areas under the provisions of the State Construction Code, Act Number 230 of the Public Act of 1972 as amended, to repeal all ordinances in conflict therewith, to provide a severability, and to provide for an effective date. Notification regarding next work session. Consideration of American Legion Auxiliary poppy sales. Consideration of the Jones Donnelly wedding. Is there any member of council like an item removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, at this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
Szymanski, I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
A motion is support. Any comments? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. New business. Consideration of adopting the 2021-2022 budget and capital improvement plan and approving the Downtown Development Authority proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022. Under section 7-4 of the charter, the annual budget must be adopted before May 15th of each year. The budget has been subject to multiple work sessions and a public hearing. Additionally, the city of Manistee is required by state statute to approve the budget of the Downtown Development Authority before it can be adopted by the Downtown Development Board. The DDA's proposed budget was presented to City Council at the April 6, 2021 Council regular meeting. If approved by Council, the Downtown Development Authority Board must still hold a public hearing on their budget and vote to adopt it. At this time, Council could take action to adopt a resolution approving the 2021-2022 budget and capital improvement plan and approve the Downtown Development Authority's proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Bachman.
Szymanski, I'll second.
I have a motion to support. Any further discussion on the budget?
Mayor, this is Ed Bradford. I just wanted to make one comment. Molly's going to be talking about this in her presentation later tonight. But we just received information from the county that the city is going to be having a Headley rollback this year on its millage rate. It will be the first time that we've had that since 2008. So it kind of was unexpected. That rollback is going to have the effect of basically reducing our general fund revenue by about $40,000 this year, this coming budget year. I discussed that with the city manager earlier today, and our recommendation is that council adopt the budget as is. And as we move forward and other facts and circumstances change, we will just have to manage that revenue decrease from what's in the budget and make sure that we can continue to execute. But again, that's the first time we've had that since 2008, and Molly will be talking more about that in her presentation.
Any questions for Mr. Bradford from council? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sullivan,
yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski,
Yes,
Councilmember Beaton,
yes,
Councilmember Bachmann.
yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Consideration of applications for boards and commissions. The city clerk has taken action to advertise vacancies on the Compensation Commission, Historic District Commission, Housing Commission, Pay Commission, Tree Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mayoral appointments require a motion, second, and council voted support. Nominations for council appointments do not require a second. After all nominations are made, council votes on the nominee until one nominee receives majority vote. The following applications have been received. Historical District Commission, there are 3 vacancies, terms ending 2/28/24, and one member is desired who meets professional qualification standards for architectural historian, and historical architect. This is a council appointment. Is there a nomination? Does council have a nomination?
Yeah, I'll nominate William R. Connor at 732 Harbor Drive.
Determining 2/28?
That is correct.
Thank you. Any discussion from council? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
yes,
Councilmember Bachmann,
yes,
Councilmember Beaton,
yes,
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. The next is the Housing Commission. There's 1 vacancy. Excuse me. Term ending 5/31/26. This is a mayoral appointment. I'd like to appoint Dale W. Priester of 346 4th Street to the term ending 5/31/26. Is there support?
I'll support that, Bachman.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Grabowski.
Have support in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachmann,
Yes,
Councilmember Beaton,
yes,
Mayor Zelinski,
Yes,
Councilmember Sullivan,
yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Yes.
Motion passed.
thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals are 2 vacancies, 1 term ending 5/31/22 and 1 term ending 5/31/24. Applicants shall be a representative of the population distribution and of various interests present in the city. This is a mayoral appointment. I would like to appoint John Veach of 485 Oxford Court to the term ending 5/31/24. Is there support?
I'll
support
support it,
that, Bachmann.
Grabowski.
I'll back Grabowski. Bachman.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yep. We have any discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachmann,
Yes,
Councilmember Beaton,
yes,
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
yes,
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Notices, communications, announcements. We have a report from the city assessor and a report from the economic development tonight. At this time, Molly, you're up. Are you out there, Molly?
You're muted, Molly.
Okay, do you see? Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
This is a very interesting way to do business, isn't it? The first screen is our taxable value change, which will impact the Headley rollback we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Our taxable value went from 2020 from $201,888 to $207,814, $260, and that was with a 1.4% increase in the taxable value, which was very low. So we've had a year of growth. The next screen shows your assessed values that went from 237,556,500 to 254,481,700, which was a large increase, and it was great to see. March Board of Review this year was held remotely. Board of Review, your Board of Review members just did a great job. Of the totals, we had 3 property valuation appeals. We had 7 hardships, which were the rollovers that Board of Review approved the rollover. 27 veterans exemptions where they were removed from the roll, to a total of 37 appeals this year, which is down. Taxable value changes in 2021. Overall, we had a 3.2% increase, which was excellent. Assessed value, we had a 7.12% increase this year, which is excellent. Taxable value by class, your 76% of your residential properties is the total, 5% is commercial, 17% is commercial, 2% is industrial, and 5% is personal. The personal keeps shrinking as more and more people are filing the small taxpayer exemption. Assessed value by class, it pretty much mirrors the 76 for residential, 4 for personal, 18 for commercial, and 2 for industrial. Now we're going to talk about the Headley rollback. It was our first rollback since 2008. It is a combination of Proposal A, which limits the amount of increase in the taxable value, and the Headley Amendment, which was passed in '78, which ties your increase to the consumer price index raise. It reduces the millage rate because of excessive growth. In a nutshell, uncapped values were not included in the definition of exempt property for the purpose of the Headley rollback calculations. Communities are penalized for substantial market growth in property values. This year, I uncapped 272 parcels, and their uncapping increased our taxable value by $4,536,000. Here is just the millage reduction. It is the 2020 taxable value minus losses, which are properties that's been torn down, removed, personal property that's been removed out of our jurisdiction. Additions are new construction, new personal property moving in. For your current taxable value, and then you see by the 1.14 calculation there, consumer price index. So it's last year's taxable value minus losses times consumer price index. And then it's this year's taxable value minus the additions to come up with the factor, and it was 0.9883 this year. Our millage will be reduced from 17.761 to 17.5534, which is a reduction of 0.2078 mils or 1.2%. The reduction in our revenue is about $43,000. 41.5 of that is of the general fund, and 2,000 is for the refuge. That was very fast for a year's worth of work, but our market is increasing rapidly.
Thank you, Molly. Is there any questions for Molly tonight?
I just have one. Hi, Molly.
Hi.
Could you send us, email us those charts? I was trying to take notes really fast, but it'd be better if I had the charts.
You can, I will, Heather has this PowerPoint.
Okay,
I'll send it out to everybody.
thank you. Good job, Molly.
Anybody else? Thank you, Molly, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Mr. Miller. Are you out there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for your time and the opportunity to speak to you this evening. We have some slides here to walk us through this quarterly update. Just as an overview, we are working as a team at the Chamber. Every one of us, Christina, Stacy, and I, all work on economic development. It's a team approach. But as my position, the Director of Economic Development, we continue to point people, developers, business owners, et cetera, to me for economic development purposes as the first point of contact. That makes it easier for people doing business in our area to make sure they have one point of contact. And so we continue to make some positive incremental change with our work and continue to attract investment. Tonight's presentation will be made shorter by the fact that we have been keeping you up to date with quarterly and written reports. So hopefully you've been receiving those and reviewing those. But we'll brush through a few things tonight to highlight some of the work in the last several months. Of course, we're working on attracting business and development to our community. One of the key projects we're continue to work on, since no economic development actually goes away once you make an announcement or sell a building, we are continuing to work with Ted Fricano at Fricano's on Manistee River by providing him with assistance on grants and working through some other processes that are necessary to get the business started. He's making great progress. There's a lot of work to do in the building, and he's working, as he told me tonight, on his third dumpster. So we're continuing the demo work there at Fricano's. Another item that has come up and speaks to our flexibility here, but we were able to land the Princess, a tour boat company. Took several months worth of effort, and there's still continued work to be done. But just to recap on this, a DDA board member saw a news article in the newspaper in Ludington, forwarded that to me. I approached Thad Taylor and Jeff McCula immediately that morning and found out what kind of capacity we have at the marina, and then started conversations with the company owner and part owner of the boat that afternoon. We've had a number of conversations and a tour of the marina, and we are, I think, very close to having a signed agreement for the summer, if not longer. And so we're very happy to have this, this vessel in to increase our tourism infrastructure. We also worked in the last several months on Entrepreneurial Day to home grow our own entrepreneurial class and improve the number of businesses. This was not only tailored to people starting up with information on how to write a business plan, very important to know how to do that. It also was tailored for existing businesses with some information on how to work on e-commerce and diversify how you sell products from your store. So we had a good deal of support from SBDC, but we also had some outside experts coming in to provide some very interesting virtual programming. We also have been continuing our work with the Lakeshore Hotel developers at 101 South Lakeshore. I wanted to provide you some information that I provided to the Planning Commission members back in a meeting on April 1st. And this gives you an idea of what the overall impact of this project will be for our community. We would like to show you that bottom line there highlighted in yellow of $17.2 million. That's the anticipated visitor spend for that project. People coming in every year and spending money in our area as a result of their trips. 17.2 million will help support local businesses, help people start new businesses because they'll be able to capture some of that income with retail and restaurants. And we hope that that will be a very positive force in making that incremental change that we were talking about. We can break these numbers down that came from MBDC Pure Michigan. The assumption there is that 283 number, but we can break those down and show you a little bit more of what we expect to see by sector. It's important to look at the bottom two lines there. That amount of visitor spending would mean 2.3 million for retail establishments and almost 3.9 million for restaurants. After this past year, that would be much needed support and helping get our businesses back on their feet. Now, I'd like to go back to the attracting businesses and development with some new news that may be of interest. So for the last month and a half, I've been working with some homegrown developers from our community that were looking at a property in Maxwell Town. And today, after some help on their Oprah application and walking them through some of those steps, also want to point out that Sharon, with Molly's request, was able to go out and look at this 155 8th Street property and be able to take a look at that and determine that it is eligible. We're able to work with this developer, and they are planning something real exciting at that property. They plan on converting that to 4 apartments there in Maxwell Town. So we're real excited to let you know on that. And I anticipate that in addition to the Oprah, we'll have some other work to do to help them out. But a very solid set of developers coming in and have their business plan. They have all their work and have an aggressive timeline for a project. So we're real happy to see that. That's where I'll stop for now with any questions that you might have, and look forward to anything you might want to talk about.
Marco, this is Brabowski. What's happening with the Gateway project?
That's a great question. So we continue to work with Little River Holdings on that project. And there is an opportunity to get grant money or loan money from the state agency known as EAGLE. That's Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. It's the former DEQ. So we're working through with the city, with Ed Bradford and the Brownfield folks, working through how to get some funding to begin site preparation. So there's some remediation work that needs to be done on the site for pollutants, and also that will help fund demolition to get the site ready for work. So we're in kind of a quiet phase here with this stretch, but work continues. And Councilmember, I'm probably having 2 to 4 contacts a week on this project alone.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Miller? Hearing none, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Miller. We much appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I know you'll keep us updated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll move on then to concerns and comments. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement. Citizens in attendance via phone shall be recognized by the city clerk for comments, limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Each person in the virtual waiting room will be called by the last 4 digits of their telephone number. Heather, do you want to take over and then go to officials and staff and council members, please?
Sure. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment? Please press *9 to raise your hand. We'll start with those first. Again, if you're calling in, it's *9 to raise your hand. Okay, now anybody who's joining through an iPad, if you have a comment, I'm going to ask that you just unmute yourself. One more opportunity. Anybody have a comment? Please unmute yourself. Okay, hearing none, I'll go on to officials and staff. City manager,
Nothing at this time.
city attorney,
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
finance director,
Nothing. Thank you, Heather.
DPW director,
Nothing tonight, Heather.
police chief,
I don't have anything, Heather, thank you.
fire chief,
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
city engineer,
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
assessor,
Nothing, thank you.
and planning and zoning.
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
Councilmember Bachman,
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Beaton,
I don't have anything. Thanks, Heather.
Councilmember Sullivan, Councilmember Sullivan, do you have anything? I see her there, but she's not talking. Okay, we'll move on to Councilmember Grabowski
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
and Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski
Nothing at this time, Heather, thank you.
and Mayor Zelinski.
I just have one thing. I want to thank staff, city manager for all of your work on the budget. A lot of hard work. You put it together really well for us. Just thank you for all the time spent and hard work. With that, we'll move on to the next agenda item. We have consideration of a closed session, union contract negotiations, and application for employment for the position of city manager. City Manager Tad Taylor has requested a closed session this evening as permitted by the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8C, to discuss contract negotiations with the police officers of Michigan and the command officers of Michigan. And Section 8F, to review and consider the contents of applications for employment for the position of city manager. At this time, council could take action to proceed to a closed session under Section 8C and F of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there support?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, any questions? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachman,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
I see her here, but she's not talking. Let me. Councilmember Sullivan, if you can hear me, press *6 to unmute yourself. There we go.
Oh, for the love of God. I am so sorry. Yes, yes.
thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you. We'll now go into closed session.
Okay, it's all right. I think everyone is back. I've got the recording started again. Okay,
We're good to go. Consideration, we're back in regular session, consideration of directing the MML facilitator to contact selected applicants to determine their interest in interviewing for the position of city manager. At this time, council can take action to direct the MML facilitator to contact applications number 9, 10, 7, 20, and 21 to determine their interest in interviewing for the position of city manager. Is there a motion?
Grabowski, I'll make a motion.
I'll
Szymanski,
second. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We have a motion in support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Grabowski,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yep.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. I don't believe we have anything further. At this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there support?
Ugly.
Support.
Hearing no objections, we're adjourned. Have a good evening.
Good
Thank
night,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it.